children.
So Gandhi preached messages of love, care, and peace, and his kind of motto was nonviolence, and he didn't believe in retaliation or fighting back, or fighting at all in the more like physical, literal sense. So instead of organizing violent rallies or like attacking people that opposed their views, they performed rallies, marches, and in their most famous incident, the Salt March, which I'll get on in a little bit. So now I'm going to talk about the Salt March, which was a very famous movement in India. So overall, Gandhi just disagreed with the British's rule of India, and one of the reasons why was because on March 12th, 1930, the British banned the sale and collection of salt from Indians. So they basically did this to create a monopoly on salt in India and just make money. So the move was purely driven by greed. So to protest this, Gandhi and his followers marched 240 miles to a coastal town named Dandi, where they all illegally produced salt on the shore, and they were beaten by police. And shortly after, Gandhi was arrested. So here is the 1982 movie Gandhi, and that depicts this event.
You can make it full screen.
Yeah.
No, sir, the gate is closed.
Oh shit! I mean shoot.
You didn't want to show the newspaper guys.
Nah, the clip's a bit long, but so as you saw, no matter how injured or how badly the Indians were being beaten, they refused to retaliate and fight back against the reluctant police because they didn't want to beat them, that they had to. And although Gandhi was arrested, it was a small price to pay because this sparked massive civil disobedience all across India. So this one act kind of indirectly spurred and created so many other acts that all led to the culmination of India's independence. And this really demonstrates the effectiveness of nonviolent protests.
I'm going to interject and interrupt. You could. I think you should show the last.
Okay.
Because and I think it really illustrates what you just said. So just show from start for. Yeah.
They walked. Both Hindu and Muslim
Back up a little bit to where. So the point is, I mean, back up the clip just a little bit. So, so you can see where the journalist, he goes to the phone, right? Yeah, a little bit further. Keep going. So it's right there. So the journalist then, he's covering this, right? So he then goes to the phone. He said, and that's what gets the word out, right? That's going to spread across India. If it weren't for the press, this wouldn't have become a big event, right? Just a local event.
They walked, both Hindu and Muslim alike, with heads held high, without any hope of escape from injuries or death. It went on and on into the night. Stop. Women carried the wounded and broken bodies from the road until they dropped from exhaustion. Stop. But still, it went on and on. Stop. Whatever moral ascendancy the West held was lost here today. India is free. She has taken all that steel and cruelty can give, and she has neither cringed nor retreated. Stop.
Also, just to add on one last thing, this is kind of this demonstrates how nonviolent protest can be even more effective in today's time, because we have platforms like social media that can spread the news faster and more efficiently and to more people. Instead of, if it weren't for that reporter, then not as many people would know about that event, and it wouldn't have had such an impact as it had.
So Gandhi's movements showed the British that Indians didn't have to attack them physically to stay united to reach for freedom. It also showed the British that they were not slaves and savages. He thought that if everyone refused to cooperate, the British would eventually lose control, because there were only 100,000 British soldiers and millions of Indians. To convince violent protesters to stop being violent, Gandhi explained that non-violent protests are more effective. When they are peaceful, the British could not suppress them. Gandhi believes that non-violence is an invisible force. The British cannot attack them or shoot them. At most, Indians could only be arrested. On January 10, 1908, Gandhi was arrested for the first time for refusing to carry his ID card. He was arrested 12 more times after this. However, each time he had to be released after a short period of time, since he never committed any violent crimes. Peaceful protests also increased the number of Indian participants, since not everyone wanted to be punished severely. He expressed how violence was unnecessary. For example, when they were taxed for salt, rather than attack the British, they could make salt by themselves, which solved the problem. He changed the mindset of Indians.
So, what conclusions can we draw on how to implement nonviolent solutions for social change? So, first of all, fight for what you believe in, but non-violently and peacefully. For violence does more harm than good. For example, as you can see in the photo here, a while ago in the Hong Kong protest, which has been happening for like a long time now, an 18-year-old student was attacking the police and like using violent tactics on them, and the police felt like his life was threatened by the student, so he pulled out his gun and shot a live round at the protesters. This shows that although this has happened and the student was in critical condition, nothing has changed, and there are still protests going on, and the protests are still violent. Second of all, never retaliate when you are attacked. Like we saw earlier, the Indian people in the Salt March, they never fought back when the British beat them, because they were showing them that they weren't as bad as them. They didn't want to hurt the policemen. All they wanted to do was to change the Salt Act. So all in all, fight for what you believe in a peaceful way, and never use violence to achieve social change.
Okay, all done.
Yeah.
All right, thank you guys.